from the Green Turtle in Towson, the Corrigan Show presented by Quest Advanced Learning. So glad to have a great group here tonight, packing them in. The Rough Rider Lacrosse Club come down, a couple state championship rings over there in the form of some Hereford Bulls. As always, Becca behind the bar serving up cold drafts and hot wings. A lot of treats for you tonight. First thing we want to talk about is the new Dr. Seuss book. It's on the shelves today. The Ravens lay an egg in their last one. Tough one for them in Jacksonville. The Ravens lay an egg down against the Jaguars. Your calls, as always, 410-481-1300. I am Booker Corrigan alongside Jeff Moeller, who a noted writer, somebody who can articulate the happenings for the Baltimore Ravens on a regular basis. Jeff, thanks for coming out to the show.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Looking forward to dissecting some of the things that go on within the Ravens and how we can maybe present some solutions to you. Thrilled to have Jeff as a part of the show here, presented by Quest Advanced Learning. The first thing we need to do is think about what happened, and is there blame that needs to be assigned, and if so, where does that go, and who's going to take some of that blame?
Well, I think when you look at last night's game, there's plenty of blame to go around. I mean, that was a terrible display of football from our home team, but obviously when you look at the defense allowing just 4 field goals, you have to look at the offense, and quite honestly, I think that starts with the offensive coordinator and your quarterback, and I think that's where you have to start and kind of go from there.
And Cam Cameron certainly has had some darts thrown at him over the last 18 months. I came to his defense after the Tennessee game because I felt like he had some real attributes to bring to this offense. He needs to put the throttle down. Now is the time for him to show what he can do, because they have a huge game coming up this week.
Yeah, well, I don't think anybody doubts his brains and his knowledge of the game. I mean, he certainly is a very smart coach, but his game management and I think his ability to feel what's going on in the game and how to call a game it comes into question when you don't get a first down. It takes you 40 minutes to get a first down in a game. There's certainly some changes that need to be made.
And the Ravens fans certainly gravitated towards that this morning. And if you want to call up and vent a little bit about this, this is the Booker Corrigan Show, ESPN 1300, 410-481-1300, live from the Green Turtle in Towson, presented by Quest Advanced Learning. And this segment brought to you by Mr. Basement, who, if he's on the job, you are going to get solutions. And that's what we're trying to bring to the Ravens offense right now. The defense put it together. They allowed 4 field goals, one of them a token field goal at the end of the game. So defensively, the Ravens are getting what they paid for. In their salary cap analysis, they put a lot of money on the defensive half of the ball. They need to find a way to supplement that with some good offensive players, but in the near term, one of the things I want to talk about is Cam Cameron getting the plays into the huddle much faster.
Right. I mean, part of there's a lot of Flacco haters out there, and he deserves a lot of blame here. But one thing that I've noticed is the team looks confused. They look over to the sideline, waiting for that play to come in. Joe gets into the huddle. By the time they get to the line, there's very little time for him to audible. And I think that's a major problem. There's a lack of communication. You don't see Joe communicating a whole lot on the sidelines with Cam Cameron or his offensive line or his receivers. And I think that blame kind of goes both ways, quarterback and coordinator. But the pace is certainly a concern. Ray Rice having 8 touches is just inexcusable, in my opinion.
And they brought him in and have developed him into a ball carrier, which you got to carry the ball. You got to get him those touches. This is the Booker Corrigan Show, live from the Green Turtle with Jeff Moeller, who is somebody who can articulate things that are happening with the Baltimore Ravens all season long. I've been following what he's been putting out as far as a writing standpoint. We're also tonight going to hear from a writer for the Terrapin Times, talk a little bit about Maryland football. And we're also going to have Ty Sanders come on, talk a little college football. So we have a great layout for you. We do have some callers stacking up because it's a live night here on a Tuesday at the Green Turtle. Let's go to line 1. We have Nick calling from Baltimore. Nick, thanks for calling in.
Hey, thank you. I was calling to say, we gotta figure out what's going on. Ken Karen's running plays in a quad set. You got 2 receivers on each side of the field.
Oh, Nick, I think we lost you. I don't know how. And one of the things, that jumps off the page at me is it's the time it takes him to get that play to Joe Flacco. And a lot of people have talked about it, and it's vital that they give him the opportunity to settle into each individual play and make a decision as to if on audible, a check down call, some way, somehow, they have to find a way to smooth that out.
Sure. I mean, look at the best teams in the NFL, okay? They're the best offensive teams in the NFL. The best player on offense is the quarterback. And right now, Joe isn't our best player on offense. That would be Ray Rice. So there needs to be development. And quite honestly, I'm not sure if Cam is the person to develop Joe. I think maybe he's taken him as far as he can. There's some interesting stats of his work with Breeze and Rivers. And I think those numbers are very telling and show that maybe Joe needs another voice.
And as you have the sheets in front of you with the statistics, you can work statistics both ways, but in this instance, Breeze and Rivers both found a way to get tremendously better from a statistical standpoint once Cam Cameron left. And that's unfortunate, but that's a true statement, and that's something that we're going to need to analyze as we have callers calling in, and we also have some folks from Janie Montgomery Scott stacking the house again tonight. They do a great job of supporting the Booker Corrigan Show here at the Green Turtle, presented by Quest Advanced Learning. If we're going to put this game under the microscope, let's focus on a positive, and that is the defense. The Ravens do a great job of setting a tone defensively, and it's carried them in some games. Is that fool's gold, and are they going to get themselves in trouble by continuing to allow that to happen?
No, I'll tell you what, the defense, and that's one thing that you make a great point. Last year, Gray Madison is the defensive coordinator. This year, new coordinator, new scheme, pressure. This defense is ready to show up. They're ready to play in prime time. Now, look, they're not. They have some blame too in this game. They played a great game, but coming out in that second half, the Jags get the ball. We need to go 3 and out, get the ball back, and they allow 9-minute drive. And the field goal gets them up 9 points. So that one drive, and that was aided by the Pollard hit, the Ivan Dejo getting booted out of the game.
Yep.
And that was a real critical point. We're down by 6. A touchdown gets you up and it gets you in the lead. We let that one get away from us. The whole third quarter goes away, and now we have our back to the wall a little bit more than we wanted to.
And a tough scenario for the Ravens defense because they know they go into the game in the second half. They know they need a big stop. They need to set that tone that they're so good at, and then they get the Pollard penalty, which there's been a lot of talk about whether that was actually a foul or whether it was just a great NFL hit. And sometimes you gotta, take your lumps. The ref makes the call. You gotta deal with it. Then Ivan Dejo gets chucked for a late shove, and probably rightfully so. I mean, he looked like he threw a hard right hand.
Yeah, that was, they lost their cool, but I think you make a great point, and that is that this defense is getting to the point now where they feel like they have to score, and that's a problem. They need to go out and stop the other team from scoring. We don't need Ed Reed to try to pick up a punt off the ground and almost lose it. We don't need that. We need our offense. We need Cameron, Flacco, Ray Rice to pull their weight here, and otherwise there might be some issues in the locker room coming up. If our offense continues to do this, you're going to see some angry players, I would think.
There have been some whispers about that. Again, Booker Corrigan Show live with Jeff Moeller here at the Towson Green Turtle. Thrilled to have some of the Hereford Bulls and the Rough Rider Lacrosse Club coming down to hang with the book. We need to talk about some of my picks. Last week, the bookman goes 10-3. That's the good news. The bad news is the ones I got wrong bad. I crashed and burned on Kansas City and Houston. How that happens, I don't know, but that's one of those things that makes the NFL so great. That's why people gravitate towards it every Sunday afternoon, Sunday night. Speaking of Sunday night next week, huge one, Cowboys going to Philadelphia. We'll talk about those picks as well. We're also going to get into some BCS chatter later in the show, so you're not going to go anywhere. We need to address Terrell Owens and his stellar workout today. He certainly passed the eyeball test because the man is jacked. There's a question about his stamina. There's a question about what team is going to bring him in and allow him to play that role of starlet and allow the drama to enter, because he is not going to wilt into the corner. He is going to be himself, and that's what you're going to bring in. So a general manager needs to make the decision, is this somebody that I want in my locker room? I think that's the baggage that comes with TO sometimes.
Yeah, well, you look, I mean, nobody even showed up to his workout today. I mean, that, you know, when nobody shows up to watch him work out, he's old. I mean, he might be a rip years old, and you know, I think you do worry at this point of the season, what's this guy going to bring to my team? Is he going to take us down the wrong path potentially?
And it's such a big question because he's done it before, and that's the thing. You know, he left Philadelphia in a blaze of, you know, a crushing blow to the Philadelphia Eagles. He left as if he was a Boston Red Sox, you know, where they kick you on the door on the way out. He certainly had a lot of that. Some players of the week. I do it every week. I have my top 5. This week it was top 6 because we had a late performance by Drew Brees. My man Derek, who's back in the kitchen here at the Green Turtle, does an amazing job cooking up wings and serving up everything you need when you get here. But he is a Colts fan, and I sympathize with him for that because he's a fantastic person. We want to see if the Colts can show the world that they're not just trying to get lucky. You have to wonder if they're thinking, you know, if we did too badly, we might pick up Andrew Luck guy. So that is one of the things that we have to speculate about as the year goes on. Now, obviously, Big Ben Roethlisberger doing a nice job, 26 of 39 for 361 yards, 3 touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers, 24 of 30. Once again, Aaron makes the top 5. I think he has every week, 335 yards for Aaron Rodgers and 3 touchdowns. DeMarco Murray breaks a rookie record for the Dallas Cowboys. Hats off to DeMarco Murray, 25 carries for 253 yards. Over 10 yards a carry. I could do that math.
That's not a bad game for a rookie. Not a bad game.
Not a bad game for anybody. Adrian Peterson, 24 carries for 175 yards and a touchdown. Arian Foster, running back from the Texans, 234 all-purpose yards and 3 touchdowns. Absolutely huge. And then the monster night by Drew Brees in the marquee Sunday night game, 31 of 35 for 325 yards and 5 touchdowns, dissecting the Indianapolis Colts, which is unfortunate, but it's true, and it happened.
Yeah, that killed my fantasy game this week. I was playing against Drew Brees, and it just 43 points didn't help me.
Not so much. Again, this is the Booker Corrigan Show live from the Green Turtle, presented by Quest Advanced Learning. And this segment brought to you by Mr. Basement. Thrilled to have some tremendous sponsors along with our show. This is ESPN 1300. If you want to call in, 410-481-1300. Got to talk a little bit about Ozzie Newsome. He's the guy who puts a recipe together, and he obviously respects the caliber of the defensive players on this team. The salaries dictate that. But Ozzie also has to start to look and say, okay, how can I take a chance on an offensive guy who's really going to come in here and put up some numbers?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Ozzie does. I think he made a step this year, bringing in Torrey Smith. He's had a decent start here. There has been, he's brought in Ray Rice, to Joe Flacco. I think his next move is going to be building up this offensive line again. I mean, that's been a major issue. McKinney hasn't really been what we hoped for on the left side. Ben Grubb with the turf toe is concerning. So there's going to have to be money spent on that offensive defensive side. You got to have a balanced team to win a championship in this league today, and that's something that and Ozzie we trust. He's one of the best in the biz.
Yep.
And he'll do the right thing.
One of the first things I talked about in my opening show was Ozzie is becoming known for what he brings in but also for what he refuses to bring in and his ability to keep bad products out. Took a flyer last year on Dante Stallworth. It didn't pan out, but it wasn't a huge negative either. He just got injured and wasn't able to perform. But he's probably the riskiest guy that they've had in the organization. So my hat's off to Ozzie and his ability to formulate the recipe. Again, this is the Booker Corrigan Show live from the Green Turtle in Towson with Jeff Moeller here, noted writer for Baltimore Ravens, and articulates what happened with the Ravens and that organization and how they might be able to solve some of the, if you want to call them problems. I definitely feel like giving away an Under Armour shirt right now. Let's pick into the fishbowl for a business card. I think we have Carrie Jarmer is the winner of tonight's first Under Armour shirt giveaway. Thrilled to have Carrie walking out with a beautiful $40 Under Armour shirt. Carrie, thanks for coming out to the Booker Corrigan Show. Great to have you. Again, there's Jay Montgomery Scott. Folks love coming down to the Booker Corrigan Show. Towson businesses come out for happy hours. Jeff, I want to talk to you quickly about some of the BCS happenings this week. I'm going to get into some of that with my man Ty Sanders later, but I feel like the BCS had a good weekend because they had some teams lose that they needed to lose.
It was a great weekend of football. I tell you what, it's killing me, but I've got 3-month-old at home staying up and watching the Badger football game this weekend, and the Hail Mary was just an unbelievable football game. And it's amazing how everybody, I heard a lot of people saying Wisconsin was going to win the title. Yep, favorites now.
Myself included.
And now they're out. So, I'm not a big fan of the BCS. I think they need a playoff system, but given the current system, it was an interesting weekend for sure.
And I think the BCS is going to find a way to work itself out this year. I know they've had years where, for example, LSU winning the title when they had 2 losses, that they earned their way into the game. They found a way to make it happen, and they did. This year, I think they're going to find the 2 top teams, whether it's Stanford, Oklahoma State, either the winner of the Alabama LSU game, provided they can still run the table. A tough table down there at the SEC. I've always been an SEC fan. The Southeast Conference plays some great football. This is the Booker Corrigan Show live from the Green Turtle, sitting in with Jeff Moeller tonight. We are presented by Quest Advanced Learning, and we are thrilled to have a bunch of lacrosse players in here tonight. The Rough Riders have come down, as well as some of the Hereford Bulls, bringing up state championships by the score. Go Bulls. The Bulls reminds me of the call we had last week from Coach Ditka. Again, John Gruden, last night in the pregame for the Ravens, called this a potential trap game, and he hit the nail right on the head.
He sure did. But I tell you what, I think even he was surprised about it, the outcome. It was a trap game. You got Jacksonville, who's 2 Monday Night Football games this year. This was their Super Bowl. This was their chance to showcase their talent. Look, they have a good defense. Their defense deserves a lot of credit, and the Ravens just weren't prepared. So in the NFL, you can lose any week, and that proved true last night.
And you got to strap it on every week. You have to find a way to get focused, and the Ravens found a way to let one slip through their hands last night.
The defense has Ray Lewis. The offense needs to find their counterpart of Ray Lewis. They need to find that emotional leader on the offensive side that's not going to let that happen in big games.
And Joe Flacco's not the fist pumper that some people want. Some people want to see Joe Flacco do the fist pump and get his offense excited about how they're playing. And he's not. That's not his personality. And everybody says you got to be yourself. But I would like to see him get over there and stand next to Cam Cameron when he's not in the game, see them communicating about what's going on, and hopefully get a better product on the field from an offensive standpoint. This is the Booker Corrigan Show. You're going to stay right where you are because we are up against the break. We're presented by Quest Advanced Learning. We are live at the Green Turtle. If you're near Towson, come on by. You might get a free Under Armour shirt. We'll be back right after this.